AnySquared Spotlight Art Talks highlight member and friend artists of all ages and experiences.
Today, we have on AnySquared Spotlight Sam Lewis, or Samuel J. Lewis II, if you want the full name of Sam. He is an artist. He's been working in puppetry recently. He's also a musician. He's also a host of radio shows. He's also been he's part of the formation and one of the founders of Elastic Arts. I put some links in the chat, um, to his link tree, to Elastic, to Real Freedom Projects, which is a new project that's launched in the last couple months. And we're hoping to hear about his puppetry and his artwork and some of the things that he has done as an organizer. So I'm excited. I met Sam in 2008 when I had an exhibit called Unfinished Logan Square at Elastic Arts in their gallery. And it was actually during the first Milwaukee Avenue Arts Fest that ever existed, that little known, that was at Diversey and Milwaukee and Kimball. And that was where it was at and centered in that area. And I've kind of been familiar with him ever since, through doing some projects with him and also going to many shows at Elastic over the years. And I'm very excited to introduce Sam Lewis.
Hey, what's going
Sam.
on?
Hey, Sam.
How you doing, Tracy? Thanks for having me on here.
I'm so excited to have your talk.
Yeah, and it's good to see I'm surrounded by family. You couldn't have picked a better panel. If you would have tried to get them to come here, they would have been like, "No, I'm busy." But this is the best panel ever. So yeah, thanks. Always been a huge fan of AnySquared and the tireless work that you and everyone involved, Brett, all the people. It's just been really a beautiful thing to see over the last decades. So
Yup.
thank you.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you for being part of our Spotlight Art Talks. For people who do not know, we have been doing these Spotlight Art Talks since December, and they highlight both AnySquared artists and friends of AnySquared artists of all experiences. And it's really exciting when we have someone who has a lot of experience, like Sam. So, Sam, I go ahead and talk about yourself as an artist and your history.
Yeah, well,
An overview.
and no, and over.
It's too
Phew.
hard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Back when I was a little kid, no, I used to be that kid that had the encyclopedias and I looked up New York and I was like looking about all the things about New York because I knew I was going to live in the village and be on Broadway and do that stuff. And I just wanted to know what their biggest export was. I thought I needed to know that information in order to live in New York City. But performing arts schools and Columbia College later, I came across some, and always in that theater was like my thing. But then hip hop kind of burst onto my scene. And by the time I left St. Louis, which is where I grew up, I was a freestyling fool going to anyone's Ethiopian restaurant and taking over their mic for little to no money. But and then here is where I really found my artistic voice for real, and got with the people at Elastic and just the whole community of artists here. And so explored music and stuff with various people, a lot of people on this call, in fact. And Mr. Tate, get your camera on. I want to see your face. You better have the screen turned in landscape mode. But no, it's been great. Jonathan, working Brett has helped me tremendously with puppetry and just finding my voice in that. and which is something that, like I say in my bio, is like was an accident of fate, really. And I'm so glad it was the happiest accident ever. And oh, listen, that's the 45 on the 45 chime of my 1930s desktop grandfather clock. And so I just wanted to let it be known out there that during this conversation, it's going to go off, especially at the top of the hour, which is the longest one. And so I had to deal with this. It really like puts the passage of time into your consciousness. You know, you feel like, oh man, I can't waste anything. This bell's going off, you know, it's urgent. And I kind of need that right now. So, but yeah, it's been great. And I think over the last few years, especially since 2018, when my man Marvin Tate over there, Mr. Anonymous, I actually took that picture that he's using as his profile picture at this really cool party where he played with Leroy Bach. I remember that because I covered it for chicagomusic.org, which those were some fun times. I got into some really cool stuff when I was kind of on the music beat with that project that was through Elastic. But you know, I even lost my train of thought. But my road to puppetry though began when I was in my father-in-law's attic, and I came across these marionettes, and one of which is I refer to him as Jus Hambone, but he is officially called Jambo the Jiver. And it's a 1947 marionette, vintage marionette made from this company and based in New York. And he was supposed to be a zoot suitor. And so as soon as I saw him, I just had flashbacks and visions of like Bamboozled by Spike Lee. And I love that film by him. And I think it's really pound for pound. It's like one of his best. And the acting is superb from everyone in the ensemble, and the messages are really stark and striking. And I think it was maybe too much for the country to handle to make it a hit, you know, but he made it. And so I was really influenced by that. And I thought that I wanted to reimagine this object from a Black man's perspective, you know, get down with the feelings and the realness. No, but it's just, I just wanted to just say I'm in control, and this is the image I want to portray of that thing. And so that led to like this whole almost 20-year journey at this point, of kind of exploring with him. But then it was like I did some stuff early on, and then I faded out for several years. And then people like Marvin Tate, the people on this call, Brett Swinney, they convinced me to pick it back up. And the time was right. It was as Trump was entering office. And, you know, if you remember back, as it's been ever since, it was a very trying time from a racial climate standpoint. And so I was actually somewhat apprehensive about even bringing it out when Marvin asked me to do this thing at Esquina. It's just like this small shop. They had a jewelry store, and they also had a performance space, and they just hold events up on the north side on Western. And I was like, I didn't want people to take video of it and then make it go viral for all the wrong reasons or something like that. I was like thinking about all these things. Should I make an announcement? Don't videotape or whatever. But I just decided to go with it, and it was a great decision. And ever since then, it's been like this really big momentum leading through a Ragdale residency, and then really finding my groove and doing the stuff that I'm doing right now, which is this new piece called Everybody Knew Their Place.
So have you performed that? Or is it something that's in process that you're about to produce?
Yes. I mean, it's kind of like I'm using performance and creating videos, especially during the pandemic, of working through the process of working on a piece.
Mm-hmm.
And if that makes any sense, it's like, it's just
Mm-hmm.
these sketches, and I'm just like, well, what about this? What about that? And maybe that's the piece. Maybe I'm still trying to get to the process. I don't even know what the piece should be at this point. I've been very confused. I'm like, is it a book? Is it a puppet show? Is it a one-man show? Like, what is it all of that? Is it a documentary that Jonathan and I had talked about making, just of the process? Because I feel like, I mean, well, first of all, the whole thing is based off of discovered family history, where I ended up meeting a man who family had enslaved members of my father's side for hundreds of years, and members of my mother's side as well, but just not as many because they came from somewhere else. And I ended up learning this odyssey that went back to before America was born, the 1750s, back in Virginia. And it was an amazing story, but it was also amazing in the way that, in the context in which I learned the story, and the way, who told me the story, the time, what was going on in the world during the time I was learning this story, and like all of that is mixed in. So to me, that full scope of that whole process to me is the story, instead of just telling this family history, which people told their family history. And quite honestly, a lot of times people don't care about your family history. Sometimes they don't even care about their family history, but they definitely don't care about yours. And so part of what I'm trying to accomplish through this whole thing is to encourage people to start asking their own questions and finding their story, which is a lot more relevant and to them,
So what is the background like? I know that you had like set up some photos and things like that. Is that relate all the photos that you like set up to show on this art talk? Is it related to this story?
Absolutely. And so I have way more photos than even this, but part of this whole process of when this man, his name's John Marshall, you'll see a photo of him shortly. When he started to give me this information, then he wasn't my only source, but he was by far the main source. But then it spurred me to talk to other people, and people that have been kind of in my face the whole time that I never asked any questions to. And they knew like valuable pieces of information that I was very interested in. I had no idea that they even knew it. So, it's like been a journey of stuff like that. But so here's some of the photos, and, they're in no particular order, but I think it behooves me to say that this photo right here of my grandfather is one of the main photos that's spurring the project, since I created a 3-foot rod puppet in that likeness with that outfit and everything, And so that's been a huge, and I love at the table, you can't see it all, I cropped it, but he has the hot sauce. I'm guessing he's eating some kind of fish, like fried fish with a hot sauce, or a chicken with hot sauce. And then he's sitting in front of this huge caramel cake. And people might know caramel cake from The Help, or you might know caramel cake because you got some people down in Mississippi and Georgia and places points south, but it's delicious and it's so underrated, just like Black people. But it's, my wife, my Jewish wife started making this caramel cake, and as they say, she put her foot in it, and she's kicking this caramel cake out. So caramel cake has become part of our life since then. And in fact, if this is ever a live production, I want to have like 100, I hope there's that many people there. I want to have 100 caramel cupcakes to give out to people to kind of ingest the kind of spirit of what I'm talking about with this piece. So, and we did a demo run of the caramel cupcakes, and they were a success. So
Awesome.
my grandfather, James Aubrey Lewis. And the thing is, he was a blacksmith, and I learned the story. I tell you, I could go on like forever with this, but I learned the story of how he bought his land, how he apprenticed, how he became a successful blacksmith and then welder. And that was the house that I was born into. And there's this huge history behind that. And I think that's the overall story, is that this really small town that when I saw it, it's called Mason, Tennessee. It's about 40 miles outside of Memphis. And when I saw this town, it was in its decline, really. And now it's just horrible. But it has this really rich history, a history of, like, relatively speaking, good racial climate, and opportunities for Black people to succeed, and opportunities for Black people to be educated, because there was some tremendous schools, one in particular called Gaylor, where my mom went to school. That's where my parents actually met. That was an Episcopal school. And that's another huge part of this story, is this Black Episcopal root that I have. And that's exemplified by this church here that is it was built by my ancestors back during slavery in the 1860s. And it was a one-room Episcopal church that the white folks had commissioned from their people. And then both Black people and white people worshiped in this space, and at different times, of course. And I went there right in 2019, and it's still standing, obviously, and had a very moving experience just attending a service there where people who were descendants of the white people, AKA the enslavers, and the Black people, AKA the enslaved, came back together, because they have churches nearby. Each has their separate church. They were going to church, their descendants were going to church in the same building during slavery. Then after slavery, they split further apart and each got their own church. But you know, it's crazy. I had a relative, a great baptized there in the 1860s, and I have the record of that. It's just like all kinds of crazy stuff. But then there's the other side, and this is kind of me, like good, but a spicy side. And so this building right here is Club Tame, which is a R&B blues club that was in Chicago. It started in Chicago on Roosevelt, and then moved down to Mason, Tennessee. So that should tell you, like, it was weird. It was like this place had good racial climate, so it attracted a lot of like bars and businesses, and people had nightlife there. They would go and hang out and do stuff. And this was right next. My grandfather's house is just to the left on the other side of those trees right there. And so I basically was born right near a blues club with like Johnny Taylor, and a bunch of people in Memphis Sound would play there, like kind of gut bucket blues joint. And so that's where I come from, which is right next to the railroad tracks and all this stuff. So these are some enslavers. And this woman right here is responsible for the reason why I grew up to be an Episcopalian. It's crazy how the reach, she was in all that dress, but she had reach. And that was her good husband. They were the praying tailors. There was also the dancing tailors. I don't know if he was praying or dancing, but that's one of the guys too. And they all had like major and captain and, you know, titles such as that. This house here is a plantation house that is still standing, and I went into it, and my son actually played a piano in there, a place where my ancestors served in that place. And it was really a bizarre experience just walking on those same floors and all that stuff. And descendants of those enslavers still live there, and he's actually a professor at University of Memphis. And the funny thing is, I was walking out and I saw he had some books near the door, and he had Octavia Butler's Kindred over, and I was like, oh, it's just like like it's everywhere. It's all this stuff, just like how they would have never, it was crazy. And so this has been some of the experience, and this is John Marshall, the person who's like been my great benefactor. And I've said a lot of times that I feel like reparations involves cash. It definitely does. But I think reparations should also involve giving us our history back. And I feel like there's a lot of descendants of enslavers out there that have access to a lot of information that could help a lot of Black people put their lives back together to a certain extent, painful though it may be. And I feel like they need to, as they say, loose up that information and make it available. And, we should never have to pay for sites like Ancestry, and we should all get, all the information we want or desire related to putting our history back together. And so I commend him, but it's also a very difficult, because I consider him a friend, but it's a very crazy relationship. I never thought I'd be in a relationship like that in my life. And so it was definitely a life-changing event. And this is what they call the lower end. It was like where all the clubs were, and you can drink and party, and there's card games in the back in the glory days. An uncle of mine on my mother's side lost a car in a card game. And this is right around the corner from my grandfather's house. And so, which is rare because it's in the middle of what is town. And so he walked over to my grandfather's house and knocked on the door and asked my mom if she can give him a ride home. She said, "Where's your car?" He lost it in a card game in the back in the alley where everyone was and stuff. So this was right around the corner. And I actually went here when I was like 16 or 17. They let me drink, and I was like, I thought it was the best place ever. And it was like fun. It was a crazy, wild experience. Now it's like maybe one business and it's just so down. But the irony of this is this whole strip right here, which is right next to the railroad tracks where the station was, which kind of made these planter barons super rich because they can then distribute their wares. But um, this is where they would go and promenade on Sundays, and in their finery, and then it becomes this like epicenter of like black nightlife, and then it becomes like just nothingness. And so it's just all crazy stories. So that's kind of what the basis is, and that's why it's so wild. And plus I have a lot of books and stuff. I have like a stack of books that he wrote and other papers to really get deep with it, and so much other stuff. It's incredible. So a lot overwhelming, and that's why I don't kind of know where the project's going. I'm just kind of rolling with it. So for instance, one of the most recent things I did, which was when we had all the snow, I took James outside and had a snowball fight where he was peeking around corners looking for me, and then he balled up a snowball and threw it, hit me in the face. And it's just like a 30-second thing, but I'm just like trying to work through anything I can to just give it some life and have fun with it, be serious about it, and just try to like let it flow.
Your YouTube channel, your sketchbook?
Yeah, right now it is. I mean, we're all inside, it's
Yeah.
it's crazy, but I will say that I'm technically inclined, and I know the power of video, and I love video, but um and I love live performance too. There's nothing like that crowd, but I definitely can express myself in video, and it's different, the options that you have with puppetry creating videos, especially pre-recorded videos, than you do in a live setting. Because I was outside in one of the, videos, watering a garden with the puppet. It's like you can't do that stuff very well in a theater without a huge budget. And so it's been cool, but I am interested to see how this will look, because I had an idea of how it would look in a live setting. Um, and one of the main goals I had with that was trying to mix different forms of puppetry. It's like I wanted to have the marionette, have my man Jus Hambone in it, have the rod puppets, have use shadow puppetry, because I'm a huge fan of like manual cinema, and people like Myra Sue are so amazing, and just the whole Chicago puppetry community, and the love that they've given me as a person who's like, I've never had a puppetry seminar class in my life. I just want to play, and I feel like it's a great vehicle to play and say, play and then say something, and then while you're playing and saying something, they'll listen, hopefully, and act on something. And so it's a great storytelling vehicle.
Does anyone have questions for Sam?
Well, yes, I do. Thank you. I mean, yeah, Sam, thank you so much for like, kind of laying out even just the background of it, especially. I guess I have like two questions, but I think it's I guess what it really initiated for you to like really go back and start researching your like kind of family and kind of connect that to your creative practice. Because I know before, because you've always been a hustler to me, like you've always kind of been like I don't know, it's like whether like music, whatever, like you've always just, you're like, your hustle shines in a way that is like almost next to this brilliance of the sun. I don't know. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to be offensive, but I'm just saying like you're just brilliant. But
No,
I'm
it's
sorry.
good.
I know it's provocative, but all that being said, so what? And also, yeah, you've actually you've been pretty prolific, especially with Elastic and all, and all the other things. But I think especially with this whole like family history research stuff, like what really kicked that off? Like, why did you feel the need to add that in?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it may sound like I'm putting on, but I just have all, and I told Marvin Tate this so many times, but when I was growing up, I just felt like, I think a lot of people, and rightfully so, have issues with like feeling like issues of inferiority, like because you're constantly bombarded with negative images of what you are and depictions and stuff. But I just never felt like that. I always felt like I can hold my head up high, even as a kid, where I'm like, I was proud of who I was, and I didn't want to be anything else. I felt like this was great, and the people I knew were great, and the Black family structure, and just the Black community that I saw growing up was amazing, and very accomplished people. And I had no reason to be ashamed. And so I felt like I wanted to know my story because I felt like my people did something. And it was, and not to discount my mother's side, because that was who I was primarily raised around. And I know a lot about them, and they're very, very, very accomplished people. But I can't explain it. I just always felt like I belonged to my father's side, you know? And I don't know why. I mean, I share his name. That's that's one big thing. But you know, and so then when I start asking the questions, and then all of a sudden, like, it's like seriously where you're like, what's over there? And it's like $1 million, you know, it's crazy. And so when that happened, I was like, I was right. And I was right to feel like something was there. There was some there. And, but then I wanted to kind of process all of that. And to me, the best way for me to process something is just kind of trying to do it through art. And I feel like it's important to me, especially in the timing at which it came, because I was working with Hambone so much. And while I feel like that's my dude and I love everything that I've ever done with him, I felt like I was yearning for something else, because I was like, you know, I made this commentary, I made this statement, and I'm still trying to remake that statement, but I just want something more on the positive tip. And I tried to be as positive with Hambone as possible. And plus, I was just like, didn't want like problematic. I just didn't want to, that wasn't an issue with me with dealing with that stuff. And so I was like, maybe I should just stop working with it. But I wanted to get into something else. And so then I had the great opportunity to be in the International Chicago, the Puppet Theater Festival, the Chicago International Puppet Theater Festival. And with Jiggetto, you know, and he's a puppeteer from North Carolina by way of Ohio, I believe. And he was doing a piece called Just Another Lynching. And it was a very powerful piece, but he's also using a rod puppet. And there was like 3 people manipulating it, him, his son, and a collaborator of theirs. And I just felt like that was the way I wanted to start telling stories. I felt it felt more personal and just more of a human story than a caricature, you know, even though the caricature is real as hell. And so I was like, this seems like the natural, and it's like I wanted to do something, and then I found a vehicle, a way to do it, and all I needed then was just the puppet. And so Jiggetto was like, "It's easy to build a puppet," and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, it's easy when you know how. It's easy when you're talented at that, but I am not." And that's one of my shames of the Chicago puppet scene, because so many builders are in the scene, and I highly respect the art of building as much as presenting. But with the gracious help of Grace Needlman, I was able to get this Warbler created puppet that I call James the Puppet. And Warbler is a great material, and she is a genius at shaping that. And he happens to be the skin tone of my grandfather, that the warbler in its natural state. So I felt like I lucked out on that end, and I didn't have to do any additional painting or anything or touching up. And
Are you gonna
love
show
it. It's a
us?
proto. Yeah, it's a.
Oh no, you should. No, you
You're
just see this.
talking about it.
You know,
Yeah.
no, it's its own. It can
Oh.
have its own talk.
Oh. Oh.
Oh god.
Yeah, I just wanted to see the puppet.
He's still dressed in his winter finery from the snowball fight, you know.
But
He
Sam,
was
I
still
actually,
cold.
but I actually do really. I think it's notable, especially with this being recorded. I remember that performance at the International Puppet Festival with you and Jiggetto, and there was, because of just the climate of being a person of color in the arts and how it's always complicated and things just kind of happen. And there was something that happened during that festival, and your second night response, I believe, was one of the most brilliant things I've ever seen. Like you, Time Bricky, I think Marvin Tate was probably there too. I think whatever, and
yes.
it was this wonderful. It kind of showed the power of art in the moment to be able to respond to any kind of microaggressions or things that are maybe problematic, and be able to really do it in a very elegant, nuanced kind of. No, it's something like on the nose and in your face kind of thing, but it was done in such a brilliant way. Or it's like you just had to be there to see it, and
I do have the video, and I should post. I should put that on YouTube.
Wait, you have video of that?
Yeah, I have the video.
can we just stop this talk and watch the video? Oh, no, we can't. Okay, never mind. No,
It's
no,
not loaded on any platform. I have it in a file somewhere. It's like I just stuck it away. I was like, oh, it's too long. No one will want to watch it. But
You
you're
should
right.
watch
I'll
it.
put it up.
Regardless of whatever platform it's on, it's already loaded. Because and so please, actually, no, it was the one. I know, and as an artist, I have to admit, like, I mean, as a puppeteer, you're all right, whatever. You know how to pull the strings, but like as an artist, that was like an ascension moment. I remember, and especially because it was on the fly too, because it was a very tense thing. It was an international festival. I know it was your big puppet premiere kind of thing. You know, being pulled off the small puppet stages, going the international scene kind of thing. But yeah, that's when I realized that the way you did puppetry in that way was a very radical, reactive way. It was,
that was a great performance. That was just a great event. I feel like it was definitely one of the highs. And I was just actually talking to Jighetto today, as a matter of fact, because we ended up doing a puppet transfer. So I'm sitting over here with a truck with some puppet Klansmen in it. I'm surrounded by puppets. There's puppets everywhere. James has a chair over here, a nice rocking chair, but I have like a puppet pickup truck that has, and there's Big Head in the back there too. But there's a puppet pickup truck with 2 Klansmen in the back seat. Hambone is, I can't even get it around, but Hambone's over there. Yeah, I know what. Yeah, what? Okay, man.
He's doing the puppet voice. This is gonna happen. This is the thing. Okay.
Hey, I get the party right. 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 Get the even with one hand. Get the party right. Hey, what's going on over here? Am I too close? Am I too close to this? What's up? I can't see you. I can't see you. Hambone does a Zoom parody. And interestingly, another reason why I love the Chicago area puppet community is I have multiple Hambones and they were all broken. And so I was down to 0 Jus Hambones, and I reached out to my friend Michael Montenegro, who lives nearby in Evanston, and he took them on a wintry night. And like 2 days later, he had them fixed, because, and see, that's how much of a builder I am not. And I was like nervous. I was like, I have nothing to perform with, and there was something coming up. And so he fixed them. Now I have 3 working Hambones. So you could steal a Hambone. I'll still be good, but don't steal one. Don't do that. Get your own. Now, my brother, you got to get your own, which you can. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to work with the James puppet, because someone could just go out and buy it and start doing it. Like, I'm doing it too, And I was like, there's something wrong with that. And so I was like, no one else has this James puppet, no matter what, it's very unique. And so I think I found the true value in that too, but I don't even know if that answers your question, Brett.
I mean, it does and it doesn't, but it really.
Yeah,
I
think you work with what's around you, what's top of mind, and this has been like on my mind like almost every day since I first started learning this information. And so, no matter what I'm doing, I'm thinking of that. So if I'm trying to create, I'm thinking of that, and I think that's where my energy has been.
Well, actually, it does raise a question I always think about with you, especially, and even your influence. Just your. It's funny. There was always this like viral vernacular we were able to use pre-pandemic, but it just seems inappropriate now. But anyways, it is this idea that because you've worked in so many mediums, and so I guess like as far. And you music and all this other stuff, and you develop whatever. So like, as you're kind of grounding yourself in puppetry, I guess during this kind of platform, I guess like, how did that seem to be the appropriate channel for you of expression? Because in my mind, I think like puppetry is kind of this wonderful thing where it's this like your fabrication, there's a performance thing, there's these other aspects, and so that's why I think there's a lot of people that kind of go to it. For you personally, like how did you do that? Or what was that?
I mean, that was a really big question, because it's like I didn't feel like there was a lot of acting that I could be doing. I was too old to rap. I didn't have enough electronic instruments, and it's like all of that stuff because I spent a long time on a detour of sorts. It's like I still performed a little bit, but I really got into arts administration mode, and it's like almost took me away. It's like you give, and then it's like an avalanche of that, and I needed to be selfish more and just focus on,
especially when you're good at it.
Yeah, because that was a thing. I must admit,
so good at it.
I tried
it.
So good. You're like, and you're always smiling too, which means that you're better at it than like, yeah, I'm always angry. You're always happy.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because it's like I love facilitating. I know that people are working through where they are with their work, and I have to respect that. And I'm always trying to catch that lightning in a bottle, which is like someone that's on the ascendant, but they haven't ascended, but they're really good, but no one knows about them. And I want to know about them and tell the world about them. And then when the world knows about them, I can say, I knew about them. It's like, that's my whole thing in my life, And
I
so
love your supportive artists.
Oh yes, woo, yes. Can we just give it up for Sam Lewis? Can everyone just unmute and clap for Sam Lewis? Sam Lewis. Yeah, harbinger of art.
Yes, but there were some times when I was, facilitating someone, and I was like, I could do better than that, or I could do it. It's like I don't want to watch this. I'm sorry, it's just the realness. It's like oh. I feel bad, it's like I hope that they get better, but sometimes it's just there's misses, there's not all the hits. It's like I feel like I have a pretty good ear, and so when something is off, I'm like, it can't be on, and I can't just be polite about it. But that's why I try to like focus on the people that really move me, and the people I can feel, and the people I feel like, and it's not a one type of thing. It's like I'm very, I'm varied in what that means. The definition of what I feel like is good, but so that was one of the things that prompted me. I was like, I could just get back in and do something, because as you become a certain age, you want to be like, if I've been gone a while, people don't even know me of that, and people are like, oh, weren't you that sound guy? No, I'm not that sound guy. I was doing sound. It's like it's like they always want to label you a thing. It's like I could do sound, I could do whatever, I could sweep the floor, I could take out the trash. I don't want you to see me doing it, but I could do it. I have no problem doing that. And so just to make the show happen, and I feel like those are the people that I try to surround myself with, like you, Brett, and Jonathan. It's like we're people who like to facilitate, and but also like contribute as well, and so those are my favorite kind of people. But I'm not knocking you if you're all about your art and that's your main focus, because I know a lot of people like that too, and they can do brilliant things. I think it takes that whole ecosystem of folks, so what I'm doing, individual results may vary, it's like that's what works for me, in this deal. But so hopefully that answers your question.
It's exciting that you're doing something that is yours.
Yeah, but also contributing.
That's kind of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it can't be more mine than this. Like no one else in the world can tell this story except for maybe my first cousin, who's also named James Lewis, but he's a former football player and he doesn't want to tell the story. He's not even interested in these stories. It's like I showed him a picture of our great grandfather, who's like buttery as hell with this like long, it looks like a hipster. Like you could seriously make it colorized and he could be like out in front of Longman and Eagle or something, and he's black, and it's like, and they were like, oh, and I was like, what? It's like, it's not everyone. There's always someone in the family who is really into that history and that stuff. And there's a lot of people that just frankly aren't, especially in Black families I've seen, because it's like a lot of times it's painful history, such and such got this and this and this. I mean, it's a lot, like for instance, it seems like Mason, and I'm sure it's not the only place, but Mason seems to be the half sibling capital of the world. Like every single person has a half sibling, including me. I found out I have a, you know what I'm saying? And my half sibling is named Sam. And it's a woman. Samela. Yes, dude, Samela. So Sam had Samuel and Samela too,
Well, have you considered making puppets of all these family members? Especially the football one. I'm just saying, the football cousin. Have you considered making a football puppet? I'm just saying, and a Samela puppet now too, I guess. I'm just saying, we can have a whole thing.
Yes, make a jank. See, it's like I'm just worried about what my depiction would be like. Because I'm telling you, when I went to Tennessee in 2019 and did all these things, it was on Father's Day weekend, and it was one of the most emotional weekends in my entire life. The most emotional, I would say. So many things happened. I mean, just a documentary could have been made about just that weekend. It's like I got pulled over by, country ass cops in Missouri, and they let me go. I won $500 in the lottery. Went to this church from 1800s that my family built. Saw my half sister for the second time in my life. The first time was at my father's funeral, and she was crying. And I thought, there was like that scene from The Color Purple. How'd he die? On top of me. It was just like that, because she was crying like, and I was like, who the hell is this crying? I was 16. I was like, who the hell is this crying? Is this his girlfriend? It was his daughter, my sister, craziness. And so that weekend was just, and so how could you not try to create some stuff around that? It's just like so much stuff. I thought it was just a boring old town. But it's like a lot of people have those problematic histories, and they just don't want to delve into that. And I get it. I found out so many crazy things. Even on my mom's side, I found out stuff. It was just like as a byproduct. I found out my person I thought was my grandfather on my father's side was actually another man. But because of that, I learned more family history because his line was better traced. It's crazy. So it was like a lot of stuff, but I think that people have issues with that, and so that may affect how they would even take and accept what I'm trying to offer in the piece, because I think parts of it I consider to be overall a positive story, but I mean, obviously it was during slavery for the most part, and there's so many many problems with that. And it's hard to kind of even celebrate or acknowledge that, but I'm trying to do that to honor them because they made it through that, and I'm sitting here as a beneficiary of that. And that was one of the big things. I was like turning 50. It was like all this stuff was colliding, Brent. It was the crossroads, because I thought I went through the crossroads at like 35 or whatever, but this was like the real crossroads where you're like come face to face with like who you are. It's like it all zoomed in for me, and then like 20K resolution, and so just still trying to just run through the process of that. And even if I stay in this state of just like doing whatever I feel like with it, maybe that's the therapy of it, or maybe it's a thing that is, then I walk away from it. I don't know, but I keep learning more information as I go on. So, and even more nuanced information, because like I mentioned earlier, I would say ask questions of people in your family, like random questions. You never know what they know. It's like I was talking to this woman, and I was trying to get information from her, and she referred me to her husband, and he ended up being this, as a boy, he was like kind of a shop rat for my grandfather's blacksmith shop, and would keep the fire up. And he told me about pecan trees and apples. He told me about getting in a truck with my grandfather and driving to where he had cows, which I had no idea he had, and milking the cows. And then he drank milk out of the bucket, warm milk out of the bucket. It's like, this is like visceral stuff, like real stuff that's taking you back several decades, giving you insight into the lives of people and trying to figure out how they lived. And it gave me comfort to know that he was doing stuff like that, and was the kind of person that did stuff like that.
Well, yeah. So speaking of kind of some of the people that do stuff like that. So like as a puppet leader or leader in the puppet industry, so like how do you pull the strings of people that are thinking about similar, I guess maybe figuring out their own like dull circumstances in order to find a way to lift them up.
Yeah. Well, there's actually there's a young puppeteer named Miles Wakefield.
Whoa.
Remember that, so you hear it first.
Wait, new puppet talent? Wait.
Yes, man.
Wait. Has a new puppeteer emerged? Oh my God, wait.
A new puppeteer is emerging.
I didn't see the smoke on the horizon. Oh my God, did someone, oh my God, did they light the fire for the new puppeteer?
Yes, they did. They've called far and wide.
Oh, that's good.
They are here, know?
Oh, no. Now I have to eat the pomegranate again. God damn it.
Exactly.
Good. Anyways, but yeah, so go on. I'm sorry.
No, but it's like I found out that they were a fan of what I was doing, and they're the child of friends of ours. And so I was like, hey, you're interested? Yeah. And so I encouraged them to apply for MBS, which is Nasty Brutus in short, which is one of the places where I definitely cut my teeth in this second iteration of this puppet thing for me. And it's like family to me. And they got accepted, and they're developing a piece about a rat king, And
Wait. So but actually, can you tell more about NBS just for the sake of it?
yes, NBS is, to me, that's my puppet home, I guess, where I feel like that's where I'm kind of most comfortable to try new things and to do stuff. It's a late night. People are drinking under the best of circumstances, it's at night, people drinking, and there's a bunch of shorts from people in all different kinds of puppetry, and some things that even stretch the definition of what is puppetry, like a man bent over with his buttocks exposed, talking, and that's the puppet,
No, I mean, that was, but for the record, that was Chris Milton, and that was a Donald Trump. Donald Trump, but no, that was exceptional. Chris
absolutely.
Milton, that was, and that developed over the course of the Trump presidency too. Like the character got better and better. Like it was that was Chris. Yeah, that was a good Chris Milton.
Absolutely. And so Mike, Oleana, and Maddie, they're doing great stuff, and Grace was a part of that before, and Myra has been a part of that, and it's just like awesome folks. So I try to hit them up. I don't want to be greedy. It's like I'm trying to have space for people, but every now and then they'll hit me up, like, let's do something, and I'll do something that's always fun. And so I took part in one during the quarantine, which was a good time. But I love, because it's nothing that can replace being live with them, because the crowd reaction is so good, and they get great audiences, and really giving audiences, and like they're going with you and clapping and being engaged. That's where I did the Hambone good old days, and so it's like, we can think back in the previous administration, and there's a lot of times I was just sitting around and this tune started going through my head. It was down 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 down, and I started like, down to the place in the good old days, whites for the race in the good old days, the good old days, the good old days. And so I developed a piece with it, and I performed it at MBS, and it was crazy because it's like you're doing this twangy thing talking about gays knew to hide in the good old days. They didn't think of pride in the good old days, and like coochie grabbing fun in the good old days. It was equal opportunity. I was just going at it, and it's like with this like little hook, and I had my man Steve on guitar, and he was a brother playing a flying V with a cowboy hat on, and it's just crazy, and
that's great.
They're clapping along, they're clapping along, and you wonder, are they enjoying it? Are they just going with me? Are they thinking like, what is he saying? Like, what's going on? And so I go through the whole song, and then I go, good old days, but they're never coming back, never coming back, and it was chun chun, chun chun, chun chun, chun chun, and he just started, never coming back, never coming back, never coming back. I was like, he got punk rock at the end, and it killed up in that piece. It killed. Hey, Adrian. It was funny.
Hey, Sam.
Hey, thanks, Adrian. I appreciate it. Yes, man. Marv?
Oh, no, hey, man, I just want to say Jus Hambone and the LA Lakers. And anyway, man, just checking with you, man. Just checking in on you. Great stuff, man. I feel you in my heart. And keep on keeping on.
Yes.
Right, just leave my name out of your mouth, man. Especially out of your puppet mouth.
Marv has been one of my. We did a great version of Me and My Shadow.
Yeah.
Hambone and Marvin.
Yeah,
When you mentioned the butt cheeks thing, I thought it was Marvin who you were talking about, who was doing that puppeteering that evening. Actually,
Don't give him any ideas, man.
Next time.
Yeah, I did want to know though, Sam. Another question for you.
Yeah.
You mentioned that your family has had various reactions to you, exploring the history and everything, and it is deeply surprising that you have ended up actually involving your sons in this. So is it a kind of thing where did that just evolve out of a curiosity of them? Were you like, did you just pull the daddy card and said, you're coming with me and you're doing this?
Yeah.
I mean, like, how's this, how did that evolve, and what wheels do you see turning as a result of their involvement now? Especially since they also do a lot of tech kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then this is a very tactile kind of approach and everything. So what do you see, what wheels do you see turning with them?
So, I was used to doing Hambone by myself. I'm a one-man show. That's all I need is me. I'm, can do everything. But then when I started working with this rod puppet, I was like, I need 2 other people, because there's there's 5 things to move and I have 2 hands, So, and so we went, and actually there's 6 because I have to hold him up actually as well. But so I was like, who am I going to get to help me operate this thing? And I was thinking about our good friend Time Bricky. And I was thinking more of like, which puppeteers could I engage in this project? And then I was thinking, my sons would be perfect, but will they do it? And so I went up to them, and the thing that helped me convince them, quite frankly, was the money. They liked getting paid, man. And then I think they grew to like it, at first, because dude, I hooked them up. I was like, you don't know how lucky you are. You are like 13 and 16 and like playing gigs. You're playing the Chicago Jazz Festival, and you're playing with like Ben Lamar Gay and Sam Trump and all these folks, and Marvin Tate, it's like, you got a sweet. I was like, they did all this stuff last summer, dude, and didn't tell a soul. It's like they went back to school. It was the first day of school, and they're like, how was your summer? They're like, oh, stay home all the time. I'm like, dude, you were in the jazz festival, like, what are you doing? So, but I think they really liked it, because after the summer ended, the work kind of slowed down, and then they were asking me like, when are we gonna do something with the puppetry? And I was wondering, is it because they miss it, or is it because of the money? And it was probably a little bit of both. But, and so we're kind of ramping up again. I had a really cool show with them, with Sam Trump on the Midnight Hour. Shout out to the Midnight Hour crew recently. And then we're going to do some stuff with Voice of the City on the 19th. I'm going to premiere a new work on the 19th on the Voice of the City YouTube channel. You can find about it on the Voice of the City Facebook page. Yes, voiceofthecity.org is more information is there, and that's on the 19th. But then also I have a show tomorrow coming up that I'm curating for ESS, the quarantine concerts, and it'll be my second one, and have a smaller lineup. It's going to be Elijah Jamal Asani, who is an electronic music artist and just super dope. And if you don't know, you should know. He's been a Dark Matter resident, which is a residency program I started at Elastic with Jonathan after attending a residency at Ragdale, which is now where I have my like full-time job. But
wait, what's that full-time job?
The Ragdale Foundation.
But what's the position? Sorry, I forgot what the title was. Sorry, what's
Director of Communications and Engagement.
Oh, whoa, that's actually a very big deal. Okay, sorry.
It's actually a very long title, and so if this judged by the length, yeah, it's huge.
I was saying, I don't know. Like, I only sweep crumbs under the carpet, not big deals.
Yeah. Oh. I see what you did there, Brett. Are you powered by whiskey this evening?
Yes, I am. But but whiskey, but
Me
also
too.
actually,
I got coffee, and I just wanted to give a shout out to Crystal Sabah, who made this beautiful mug. She has an exhibit coming up.
no, it just opened. It just opened, and her birthday was yesterday too.
Yes,
And also
yes.
because of you, I actually got a mug too, and it's a piece of art. So this is not like capitalism. So remember,
Yes,
it's actually, it's communityism, and so it's about
absolutely.
supporting artists that do stuff. So Chris is about everybody. Yeah, but yeah.
And I have coffee, and that's why I'm so amped right now. I'm kind of perspiring in this. I have coffee. What is it? Godiva chocolate liqueur and a almond milk creamer. That is the drink of the year. I'm like, it's gonna make me sleepy, yet excited, yet buzzed. Like I'm like all over the place, In my Crystal mug, shout out to Crystal. Hey, and speaking of Crystal, she's going to work with me as part of the Wonder Wagon this summer. We're going to do the Pivot Arts Festival in May, at the end of May. I think it's.
Wait, Sam. Sam, what's the Wonder Wagon?
The Wonder Wagon is a mobile puppet theater, and it is amazing. A lot of outdoor events, and that's where Big Head was a star on the Wonder Wagon. He says mine a lot and is a very stingy person, and I love him to death. But
Sam, if you stop being so effective, because you might be a gateway puppeteer, so you might be like, Congress might shut you down. I'm just saying, you might be you might be Schedule 1 for your puppeteer pushing of the. Seriously, you don't want kids to get in puppeteering because they have to worry about fabricating, performing, as far as like.
I know, being creative, expressing themselves, staying away from drugs and violence.
Yeah. They have to come up to their parents as puppeteers and realize that, they're like, who's really pulling the strings?
Oh gosh, man, let me just tell you something real quick. Puppeteering is so vast. It is so vast. There is like everything is in it. And so when you tell people you do puppetry, they're just like, they have an idea in their head. And sometimes it's way off from the kind of work you actually do. So I told one of my longtime friends, he's like, puppets? He was drunk by the time anyway. He's like, puppets? What you talk about puppets? I was like, yeah, man. Like Sesame Street puppets? Like, no, man. Like puppets. You trying to tell me you work with puppets? Like he was in disbelief for like 5 minutes. And so there's that, but then there's also the puppetry community itself, which is like just some of the most eccentric, kooky people you ever want to meet in your life. And I love a lot of them, but some of them are really weird. And that's no different for Black puppeteers. There's like a couple of puppeteers of color and a Black puppeteer network thing on Facebook that I belong to. And these people post this stuff. I swear, you got to go check it out. You just got to see it. You got to see it, dude. It is hilarious stuff, man. It's like, I'm like, how do they even think of this? And they're very smart people, they're like on it, but they're just like, they love puppets. And so I'm part of that community as well, but I don't know if they know what to think about me or not, but it's really cool. I've been trying to like subscribe to everything, all things puppets, to try to see what people are doing out there, to kind of be a fan and be participatory in the thing instead of just being focused on just my stuff or what's going on in Chicago or whatever.
No, I mean, it's really wonderful to see. I mean, especially to see your puppet ascension of sorts. I guess it's been quite delightful, but like, yeah, I know it's because especially I think as you tied into your kind of research thing. I mean, that's kind of the beauty of it too, because I think there is that. I mean, it's wonderful to be performative and fancy and whatever, as Marvin Tate knows. But at the same time, it's also sorry. Okay, that was a weird joke. Okay, never mind. But it was more than I know because. No, Marvin Tate just like his little person. Anyways, it's not about Marvin Tate. It's about Sam. Let me be clear. It's about Sam. And so but like I think add in this whole like rigorous research thing though. That's and yeah. I mean, making a puppet out of your grandfather. I mean, that's that's a big deal. I mean, especially being like a Black puppeteer. Like like think about lineage and think about how that representation and think about how. What those standards are being created. Yeah, I mean that's a big deal. That's why I
feel much better. And it's been like it's a much different vibe performing with him, with my sons especially, as opposed to by myself with this thing that white people made as a representation of black people. It's just a different way of presenting, and I've gotten a lot. It's like I could just hear people, and yeah, even through video I can hear, oh, because when you see like a black man and his sons together doing something besides arguing or trying to play basketball or something, people like go, they love that stuff. And so I love it too. And because I felt the same way when I saw Jaghetto performing with his son. And I was like, I want my sons to perform with me too. And I thought it was like such a pipe dream. But then I got two. I like Jaghetto, I got two sons performing with me. I got two.
No. I mean, every time I see you and your sons perform, I always Venmo my dad like $20 just because. I'm like, Dad, like seriously, okay, we'll get through it too.
Yeah, man, it's really been a vehicle to like kind of get to know them better and get closer to them and like kind of relate to them on a way that's not video games or clean up your room or like stuff like that. It's been really cool, and so it's helped. The other thing that helped with my older son is when we almost got into a life-threatening accident and I saved his ass cool as a cucumber. He was like my biggest fan after that. We were on like over by Sox Park, and we were just driving. We were just dropped off Avriel Ra, who's one of the legendary drummers of the world, based in Chicago, and dropped him off. We were like, that was a whole event where it was great talking with him. It's like multi-generational hour-long car ride, at like midnight, and hearing his wisdom after a gig. And my sons are listening. He's like very receptive. He's trapped in the car, and it was awesome. And then Ariel gave us some gas money, and I immediately slapped it in his hand. He was happy about that. He was like, oh, I got some money just for riding. And I was like being respectful, like, yeah, I know you want to ride down. It's okay if you don't want to ride down. I'll do it, Dad. I'll do it. Rode down all the way down like 80s. We live 83 north. This is 86 south, and it's east, it's like, it's crazy. So on the way back, we're on right by Sox Park, and this I see this car in my rearview mirror, and there's like screeching. I hear screeching, and it's supposedly going straight. And I'm like, how is it screeching going straight? I'm like, there's some swerving going on. And so it came up on the side of us, on the right side, and we were over by the median, came up on the right side of us, and then all of a sudden just swerved in front of us and over swerved and hit the median and partially went airborne and was like screeching, and sparks and dust and debris was all in our face. And I was like, I'm gonna hit this dude. Like, it was, I didn't know if someone was coming up on the right where I couldn't get over, but something took over me and everything just like slowed down. And I just like eased on the brakes. I didn't slam on the brakes. And then I looked in the mirrors real quick and I saw I could get over, and I just glided over to the right, and we just kept on going. Like, we didn't even stop, And he was like, oh my God. And so we talked about it for the rest of the way home. And he was like, oh my God, man. Like, when you see someone talk about be cool under pressure, man, dude, but when the stuff hits the fan and you actually respond, I mean, people are believers then, And so I think he became a believer that night. And our relationship has been really great ever since that moment,
That's some serious bonding.
Yeah, it was some serious bonding
Man,
through.
I mean, that's really beautiful, Sam,
struggle.
man. Not many people bond to those extremes, but like that. I mean, like, this is not confessional hour, but like, I felt like there are times I bonded with my daughter at times like that too, and then things go on, then things go back to the same. But just that's great, man, and that he'll remember that. He'll just remember that. He'll have that to pull back on as he gets older, And another question, a question in general: would you say that puppetry saved your life?
Yes. Yeah.
I have to say yes to that, because Yes, you
Yeah.
know, because I feel
awesome.
like, and it's not ironic that you and Brett are here right now, because you two have been some of the most the biggest of my biggest supporters of, like, as far as giving me opportunities to show my work, you know. And I would add Ben Lamar Gay to that list as well. But the three of you, and I think it's no coincidence that, and you know, there's some other people as well, don't get me wrong, but you three were the ones who like first believed in what I was doing, especially you, Marvin, because you were the one that gave me that first gig to revive the stuff. And I was like looking for an outlet, and I was like, what can I do? It's like, how can I use my creativity? And I didn't know what the answer to that was. And so that's why I started doing the Q4, the radio show, because I was like, let me at least just get back in the scene and like go to a
Mm.
place where artists are going, you know?
Mm.
And you know, shout out to Q4.
Question for you: how did you? I mean, at that time, when you were dealing with what to do with Hambone, etc., with puppetry in general, where were you? I mean, like, where were you mentally? I mean, like where were you? Was it family life that had taken a lot of your time up? Jobbing, you know, like you say
Yeah,
you weren't like an artist.
absolutely. I think part of that whole, it's like everything kind of came together, and it like, you know, that's why the family history piece, turning 50, leaving my corporate job after 15 years, like having my kids get to an age where I'm not like always have to be in their face to like do anything, you know. It's like they're kind of more autonomous, you know. They can't
Mm-hmm.
raise themselves by any means, but they just start like getting older. It's like my youngest is 13 now, so it's like it affords me sometimes, they're not babies anymore, they're not kids like that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of those things came together, and it was the best thing, because I seriously wanted, I felt it coming and I felt the need for it to come, but I didn't know how it was going to happen. And the way it happened was, I couldn't have asked. I mean, I quit my corporate job on my 15th anniversary. I walked out like, because, you know, I didn't have much longer. It's like they had sold to a private equity firm, and like, you know, it was like all the writing was on the wall. It was people jumping ship. And it's like, I did not want to be fired. It's like, I did not want to do the walk of shame, because I've heard that other Black people that worked there did that walk of shame, and they thought that it was me, because we all look alike. But they thought it was me. And then they were like, oh my God, Sam. Oh my God. Oh, I was so worried. I thought you got fired. I heard you got fired. Like, who told you I got fired? You know? You talking
Wait,
about the
Sam,
dude with the big ass gray beard and the gray hair, and I'm like a bald head dude, you know? Like,
I mean,
for
no,
real?
Sam, I remember your beard phase. It was epic, but especially
Yeah.
with the whole gray thing too. It was very epic.
Oh, yes,
But no,
yes.
yeah, that corporate job. Yeah, like I remember meeting you during that corporate job, and yeah, you were very awesome and efficient. But like to see where you are now. I mean, like, yeah, there was never any question, but like you were like, yeah, like I remember, like actually when I met you, I was like, oh, this guy's totally just gonna blow up. Like I was like, why? Because I remember you and I had a meeting about something related to our previous jobs during that period of time.
Yeah.
And you were just like, I was like, man, why is this dude here? I don't know. Or it was like that like wonderful building downtown. I was like, this high rise can't contain this talent. Like I just remember like this Keurig like coffee thing cannot handle the brilliance that's spewing from this like yeah. I mean,
Oh,
I
dude.
forgot about that your previous life, your pre-puppeteering life. Like yeah, like it was, man,
You
seriously.
know, and that was when I was on the hiatus, because before that, or even during that time, I did do puppetry, but it was like it was during the Obama era, and it was just like a completely different vibe to the stuff that I was doing, you know?
Oh yeah, Obama
Um,
was the worst for puppets. Seriously, it was the
yeah, I
worst.
mean,
I mean,
it was like kind of like, I think we took some time off from being really feeling like things were like an emergency, you know? The people were still sounding the alarm during that time, no doubt, but it just is nothing like it is now, and nothing like after these last, you know, 4+ years, you know. So um it was a different context that I was doing the puppetry in then, and it was fun, but it didn't have the same impact to me. And I think that's why I kind of put it down. It's like after I did a puppet show at my family reunion, which was like the scariest gig in my entire life, you know, life hands down, the scariest. and they were extremely gracious. And I wondered for real what they thought about it, but they said that they loved it and they still talk about it. I did because we have a talent show at the Johnson family reunion, and there's always people from Texas that go all out, and they'll be like James Brown and have someone throw the cape on them and stuff like that, or they'll be the Temptations or something. They always do some stuff like that, and they just kill. And so I came with the puppets, and I was like, had Hambone, and I said, and I know it's some stiff competition out there, but it's all good, but just if I win, great. But if I don't win, don't let me catch you with the trophy in the alley with the trophy in your hand, because I and I was talking about, are we all related? I could tell if we're related, because if you're young and fine, maybe we're not so closely related. If you old and ugly, then we very closely related. It was like, he was just going off on some stuff. And I had like a blues song in there, and he coming in from Chicago and stuff. It was fun, man. It was in Memphis, actually. And so that was by far the scariest gig of my life. But after that, I was kind of like, I think I almost immediately after that, I put it down for like 5 years. Wow. And then a person named Marvin came and said, do a gig. And then, and that was perfect. Right. The timing was perfect. And it was in November of 2016. Yeah, it was in November of 2016.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, man.
So Sam, I think we'll maybe have one or two more questions and we'll wrap up.
Absolutely. Yes.
Because it's been an exciting talk.
It's been a long talk. It's past my bedtime.
I hope you're having fun.
Yeah, I'm having a great time. And thank you again for inviting me, Tracy. I really appreciate it.
Oh, we loved having you.
You guys are family, and all the Logan Square fam, Avondale too. For Avondale, yeah. we include Avondale over there.
Excellent. My brother.
But
so
yeah,
any last questions, everyone? Everyone, any last questions?
I'm good.
Brett, Steve?
Who is Blob?
I know who that is. I think that's my friend David.
yeah, that's so David.
We're still recording, so he's not gonna video.
Oh,
okay.
Wait, we're recording still. Okay, yeah.
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
Robert. I just want to say hello, Robert. And Steve, man.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. You're like in the running as like my #1 supporter, dude. And I got the painting. You could see it.
I'm gonna mute myself then. Oh.
No, it's like, but no, listen. You see where my finger's pointing right there? That's a Louis Achenbach original that's hanging next to my front door that Steve graciously helped get put into my hands. And I love Louis. He did a painting of a really kind of a drawing of me and my son, Noah, the one who I had the near-death experience with. And so I've always have that Lou right here. And now I have a second Lou, and I love the design of it. I love everything about it. So thank you for that. Appreciate it. That's why he's in the lead, Brett. So be quiet.
I like to talk a lot. I'm just saying. I just want to put that out there.
You ask good questions.
No, you're great. It's been great, man. I'm
yes, you have
pointed questions.
Also, I have my puppet agenda, so I am pulling strings. Also, I only have like two puppet jokes, or anyway, it doesn't matter. Anyways, long story short, Sam, thank you so much.
But I'll tell a secret on Brett then, because Brett's gonna be a puppeteer. Come on now, I'm calling it out. I'm doing a ban on you. Brett's gonna be. He's like, I thought you were telling a different secret. No, I don't know any other secrets.
No. I was trying to be a puppet hustler, but I realized no, I just want to be a puppet. And so I realized. No, I mean, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I have to actually see. I guess, yeah, that's my last. Thank you so much for sharing your wonderful creative practice. But like, I mean, seeing you because of your background in general, you jump using puppetry not only for your own expression, but also, now kind of like elevating in these kind of different like rigorous kind of research practices. It really does show that like, oh yeah, it's a really just kind of powerful thing, and it's kind of wonderful for you to be an example for that, and to be a leader in that too. And I love like, poking you about your leadership abilities, but yeah, you are definitely a trailblazer, and it's really wonderful to see it over and over, man. And also, I didn't realize. Wait, are you 50?
I'm 51 now. I'll be 52 in September.
Man, seriously, man, I gotta work out more then. Fuck.
Eat some kale.
I know. I was like, man, seriously, like, I thought it looked pretty, but no, I thought it looked pretty. I just got to catch up. But like in the grand scheme of things, but no, thank you so much. You know, like every realm, whether running organizations, doing puppetry, doing whatever all this stuff. I mean, everyone knows what you do, which is but also you can do it with the smile. And I
you're the hardest working man in Chicago show business for real, by far.
Expect that emotion.
Yeah, you're the spine. You're the spine that we all shine from.
Oh, geez, wow!
Thanks.
I get
Sam.
flowers for the living. Yes.
Yeah. You're still living. Yeah. Please.
Thank you for doing our AnySquared spotlight. This is great.
Yeah. Thank you
and,
all.
And also, Sam. Also, thank you for supporting AnySquared for like from the beginning. Like you've always, I mean, between you and Elastic and Marvin, like whatever, no, I mean, like AnySquared was, no, thank you. Like AnySquared wouldn't exist without Elastic. Like
that's an easy, I mean, you all have been just great partners, and so that's an easy call and really engaging people. It's like I remember, you were like, just SAIC back then, on your bike, riding around. I'm like, who is this kid who's so respectful? I
know, yeah.
It was fun, and so, everyone on this call has like grown into their own and like really come and done put in good work in the community. So that's what I'm standing with, and that's the biggest thing that motivates me, is because when I see other people doing stuff, it's not, that's what I was telling Marvin the other day. It's like, I don't feel jealous. I feel inspired to do something as well, to contribute to this. So I can say, yeah, my name was in that, we did that, and so, and it creates this really great synergy, and it's great momentum that can cause Chicago to do great things like it's doing right now, and so that's it. I'm glad to be back fully, I think, into being a part of that more overtly,
Also,
personally,
I do want to sneak into a shout out to Marvin Tate, because they had the snow globes from like 2010. Snow globes. Your snow globe thing. Your snow globe. Yeah. Like I remember.
Oh wait, I have. Hold on.
Oh yeah. I
got stuff all around here. It's like it's a house of everything here. I have a Marvin Tate original.
I have a couple of those.
I don't have a Marvin Tate original. I'm actually knowing about that.
Hey, you guys, you know what? I'm gonna leave. You keep calling my name.
All right.
All right, everyone. Goodbye.
Anyway.
See, this is what happened like at the family reunion, Black family reunion.
All right. Let's go.
I'm gonna go, but hold on, 15 minutes later.
I think I'm
real.
Say thank you, Sam, and we're gonna stop recording.
Okay.
So,
Bye, everyone.
Check social media for future Zooms and future streams.